Okay, so have you ever had that feeling where a story just like gets under your skin and you just can't shake it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like it just stays with you?
Yeah, totally.
So today we are going to go deep into one of those stories.
All right.
It's a deep dive into this podcast episode called The Attacker Next Door, a true neighbor horror story.
Ooh. Okay.
And this one is not about jump scares.
Right.
It's all about that kind of slow burn unease.
Yeah.
That violation of like the one place where you should feel totally safe.
Oh, for sure. You're home.
Exactly.
Like that's the place where you should feel the safest.
Yeah.
So that's really scary when that's violated.
Yeah, so we have the full script here.
Wow.
And it even has like the sound cues and everything.
Oh, cool.
And some notes on like why it's so effective.
Interesting.
And we were not just gonna like recount the story. You know,
Right.
we're gonna break it down,
Yeah.
figure out like the mechanics of how this story makes you feel so uneasy
Uh-huh.
and what it tells us about.
Oh, yeah, that's the scariest part.
And you know about trust and vulnerability.
Right, because you think you're safe and then
How vulnerable we are
Yeah.
in the places where we should feel most secure.
Yeah. I mean, that's terrifying.
So the story starts with Mia.
Okay.
She's a student,
Mhm.
and she finds what seems like the perfect apartment,
Mhm.
you know, affordable, close to campus.
Right.
And the building manager, Mr. Dawson, seems pretty friendly.
Okay.
So like you're reading this and you're like, okay, finally some peace.
Yeah, like everything's going right for her finally.
Exactly.
It's all coming up. Mia, she's got this great apartment,
Yeah.
and then of course it all goes wrong.
Well, that's what makes this work, right?
Exactly.
Like you have to establish that normalcy.
Right.
Because horror works best when it's like in the mundane,
Oh, for sure.
like when it just creeps into the everyday.
Huh?
So you have this baseline of comfort and security.
Yeah,
And then these unsettling events just hit you so much harder.
exactly. It's the contrast, you know?
Right.
Like you're expecting everything to be fine,
Yeah.
and then it's not.
And then it's not.
And that's where the fear comes from.
So the first sign that things are not quite right is with Mr. Dawson's sister, Lena.
Okay.
The script describes her as like harmless but overly chatty.
Oh.
Like one of those descriptions that just immediately makes you feel a little off.
Yeah, like what's her deal?
Right? Like why is she being so weird?
Uh-huh.
And these early interactions with Lena, they're supposed to be like subtly discordant.
Right?
So like the accidental run-ins in the hallway,
Mhm.
questions that feel a little too personal
Yeah.
on their own. It's like, okay, maybe she's a little quirky,
Yeah. Or lonely?
right? But it's like all these small things together
Yeah.
that just start to make you feel like something is wrong.
Exactly. And you get that feeling like she's pushing the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah, it's like you're being watched
Uh-huh.
or like noticed a little too much.
Yeah. You know that feeling.
Yeah, like being just a little too noticed.
It's not a good feeling. No, it's not.
So then the story shifts from those little interactions
Right.
to these much more disturbing events.
Yeah.
And they start subtly,
Yeah.
like those late night knocks with no one there.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Right.
Like, what is that all about?
You know, that's just to like make you paranoid.
Totally. Just mess with your head.
Yeah, make you feel unsafe.
Yeah.
Like in your own home.
In the one place you should feel safe.
Right. But then you have the unlocked door
Oh, no.
and the moved belongings.
Oh, that's not good.
Right, that's a violation.
That's a big violation.
Someone's been in her apartment.
Yeah, the hairbrush on the bed, cracked window,
Oh, that's creepy.
and like the scent of Lena's perfume.
Okay, that is not.
These aren't just random things.
Yeah.
This is like someone has been in her space,
Yeah.
touching her stuff.
And she's been smelling her stuff.
Yeah, it's really unsettling.
That's a huge boundary violation.
Yeah, so Mia tries to talk to Mr. Dawson
Right.
about all this,
Yeah.
but he just dismisses her. Oh no, really?
He's like, oh, Lena's just protective.
Ugh, that's so frustrating.
Yeah, and it shows how easy it is for someone to just like minimize your fears.
Totally.
Especially someone in a position of authority.
Yeah, like he's the building manager.
Yeah.
He should be taking her seriously.
And it makes Mia feel totally alone.
Yeah, like no one believes her.
Right, like her gut is telling her something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the one person who could help her
Yeah.
is just brushing her off.
Ugh, I hate when that happens.
I know. And his explanation, like, oh, Lena's just protective.
Yeah.
It almost makes what Lena's doing seem normal.
Right.
Like, it's okay for her to act this way.
And it just makes it worse, you know?
Right.
Like he's enabling her by
Exactly.
not taking it seriously.
So then things escalate even more.
Oh no.
Mia finds shattered glass on her doorstep
Oh gosh.
with lipstick stains that match Lena's.
Okay. that is not good.
So at this point, it's not just awkward encounters anymore.
Right.
This is like a deliberate act,
Mhm.
like a sign of real malice.
Yeah, she's trying to scare her.
And it works.
Yeah, of course.
Like all that unease turns into real fear.
Uh-huh.
Can you imagine how violated Mia must have felt?
Oh, totally.
And then she must have been so scared.
Yeah, like what's gonna happen next?
Like, what is Lena going to do next?
And then,
So then comes the climax of the story.
okay.
It's a stormy night,
Oh, no.
and Mia hears the doorknob rattling.
Oh, God.
And in the podcast, they actually use sound design here
Right.
to really make it scary
Oh, yeah.
and make Mia seem even more vulnerable.
We're, like you said before, using those everyday sounds
Yeah.
to make it extra creepy.
And then Lena appears in the doorway
Oh, my God.
with the kitchen knife.
What?
And she says, "You've been ignoring me."
Oh, my God. That's terrifying.
I know, it's like a direct confrontation.
Yeah.
Fueled by this, like, warped sense of reality.
Like she thinks Mia owes her something.
Exactly. Like Mia's supposed to be paying attention to her.
Yeah.
And then the knife, obviously.
Oh, my.
Just makes the situation so dangerous.
Yeah, it's not a game anymore.
Right. It goes from uncomfortable
Yeah.
to, like, life-threatening.
In a second.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what's really scary is that shift
Right.
from those, like, passive, unsettling things
Mm-hmm.
to this real aggression.
Yeah.
And Lena's words, like you said, show how distorted her thinking is.
Yeah, she's not thinking clearly.
Or
She
not.
thinks she's justified in doing this.
Yeah, because Mia's not giving her the attention she thinks she deserves.
Right.
So there's this struggle.
Oh, no.
Mia screams, she uses pepper spray.
Oh, God.
Lena attacks her.
Oh, my God.
Mia fights back.
Okay.
And then when the police arrive,
Yeah.
they find all this stuff in Mia's closet.
Like what?
Stolen photos, clothes,
Wow.
even a lock of Mia's hair.
Oh, my God.
It's really creepy.
That's so disturbing.
And it shows how obsessed Lena is.
Yeah, it's not just like she has a crush on her.
Right.
This is like some serious fixation.
Yeah, she wants to possess Mia somehow.
Yeah, like be a part of her life.
And like that lock of hair,
Yeah.
that's like a really powerful symbol.
Totally. It's like she wants to keep a part of Mia with her. Always.
Yeah, so later we find out that Lena is diagnosed with erotomania.
Oh.
It's a delusion where someone thinks that someone else is in love with them.
Oh, wow.
And usually it's like a stranger or someone they don't know that well.
Interesting.
But even though that explains it a little bit,
Right.
it doesn't make what Mia went through any less terrifying.
Oh, for sure.
It shows you that these delusions can have really scary consequences.
Yeah, it's a mental illness.
Yeah.
But it can still be dangerous.
Exactly.
So that's scary.
And then there's this one detail that is just so chilling.
What's that?
Lena had a master key to all the apartments.
Oh my God.
So she could have gone into Mia's apartment anytime.
Wow. So it wasn't just those random times.
Right.
She could have been going in there whenever.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
And it's a huge breach of trust,
Yeah, by the building manager.
right? Like, he gave Lena access to everyone's homes.
Yeah, that's not okay.
So Mia's safe haven was never really safe.
No.
And the script talks about how traumatized she is.
Yeah.
She's constantly checking locks,
Oh, yeah, I bet.
and she gets anxious when she hears everyday sounds.
Right, because now she associates those sounds with Lena,
Yeah.
danger.
It just shows you how long the effects of something like this can last,
Yeah, trauma can stick with you for a long time.
especially when it happens in your own home.
Right, because your home is supposed to be where you feel safe.
Yeah,
So when that's violated, it's really hard to feel safe anywhere. It
exactly.
really shakes your whole world.
So the podcast script actually talks about why it's so effective.
Oh, interesting.
Like they mention the pacing
Mhm.
and how they use sound design to create this atmosphere.
Yeah.
And even just reading it, you can imagine how scary those sounds would be.
Right.
And then at the end, the host talks directly to the listener
Oh.
to make it feel really personal.
Oh.
And they're all like deliberate techniques
Yeah.
to make the listener feel uneasy.
Right, and keep you hooked.
Yeah, like that 8-minute buildup of tension that keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
And the sound effects
Mm-hmm.
really tap into those primal anxieties.
Yeah.
They bypass your logic
Yeah.
and make it feel so real.
Right, like it's happening to you.
Exactly.
That's scary.
And then the host says this line at the end:
Okay.
"The scariest monsters aren't in the shadows. They're the ones who smile at you in the daylight."
Oh, wow.
I know. And that's what makes this story so unsettling,
Yeah.
is the idea that danger can be hidden
Mm-hmm.
in plain sight.
Yeah.
Like someone who seems normal
Yeah.
could actually be a threat.
Right, and you don't even know it.
Yeah, and we like to think that threats are obvious,
Yeah, like you'll see them coming.
Right.
But this story shows that's not always the case.
Exactly.
It could be someone you trust,
Yeah.
someone you think is harmless.
Someone you see every day. So, yeah, the attacker next door really makes you think about
Yeah.
the safety of your own home
Mm-hmm.
and who you can trust.
Yeah.
Because even though it's a fictionalized story,
Right.
it's based on true events.
Right.
And it shows how real this kind of danger is.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to trust your gut.
Yeah.
Like if something feels off,
Yeah.
it probably is.
Right.
Even if you can't explain why.
Exactly.
And it's important to have people you can talk to,
Yeah.
people who listen to you and
Yeah.
believe you.
Because if you don't,
Yeah.
your concerns can just get dismissed.
Exactly, and then you're all alone.
So here's something to think about.
Okay.
Think about how boundaries are set and tested in your own life.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how do you know
Yeah.
the difference between someone
Yeah.
who's just a little eccentric
Mm-hmm.
and someone who's like actually dangerous
Right.
and potentially obsessive?
That's a tough one.
It is.
Because sometimes it's hard to tell.
Yeah. And what responsibility do you have
Mm-hmm.
to address those situations
Yeah.
where the lines are being crossed?
Yeah, because you don't want to overreact,
Right.
but you also don't want to ignore it
Exactly.
if something's really wrong.
It's a difficult balance,
Yeah.
but it's something we all have to think about.
Definitely.
This story definitely gives you a lot to think about.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary, but it's important.
Yeah. You got to be aware
Yeah.
of the dangers out there.
Exactly.
Even the ones that are hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, I never know.